Freiza, the intergalactic tyrant of the universe, once his peak in power, controlling everything and almost gaining immortality. That was before he was defeated by the Super Saiyan son Goku and then defeated by Trunks Briefs, the son of Vegeta, another mortal enemy of his. But then, years later, he came back from the dead, resurrected by his soldiers, and trained for 4 months to get revenge upon Goku once and for all. But considering how this revenge ended up panning out, was it in fact wasted? Did Frieza have a lot more potential than what we actually saw him end up using in Resurrection F? And maybe was Frieza the right choice after all, or maybe should they have brought back someone else? Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of Wasted Potential, where we're going to be talking about Frieza in Resurrection F. And to join me today, someone who's going to help me with this topic, his name is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation here, of course, as always.
So Josh, what do you think about this? Do you think that Frieza's return, his resurrection, his training, and all these various elements were really used to the degree that they should have been, that they were executed as well as they could have been? Do you think that they were wasted? What do you think about that?
I think yes and no. I think that even though there's a specific character that I'll get into a little bit that I would have liked to see a lot more than Frieza, but it wouldn't be a very realistic possibility at all. I think the fact that Frieza came back, especially going off the original manga where he didn't really return ever, actually, Frieza's a really good choice for the film. And even though his death was kind of, I suppose, lackluster in his overall impact in the film and what he did, even in the Super arc, even when he killed Piccolo, all that really amounted to nothing, no impact, no real negatives to the overall series. Nothing was taken away for good or anything like that. And I think that Frieza was a really good choice for that film. It was good to see him come back and get his revenge. It made sense how it played out. It wasn't like it was forced. They didn't just scratch the bottom of the barrel for some information or anything like that. It all played out very nicely. But there is that fact that when he comes, even though he was beating Goku, the fact that he still gets murdered at the end pretty easily by Goku's Kamehameha and without taking anything in return, permanently, it does seem kind of wasted. And I feel like there maybe were some things that could have been reworked there. What those things are, I'm not really sure. I'm not an anime writer or any type of story writer, but I think a character that would have been way better would have been Cell, but I can't imagine that making any sense for him to come back.
Yeah, that would be difficult unless they did some whole storyline where one of Cell's cells really did survive, and it survived inside of Gohan, and the entire reason why Gohan didn't train for all those years is because Cell made it so he couldn't, because he knew that Gohan would be his only threat. That would be the total Gohan fan fiction coming out of me, I guess.
I could turn my brain off for it.
I feel like Frieza's death is one of the biggest problems with Resurrection F, the movie and the series.
I agree.
Because realistically, that's one of the biggest reasons why that movie didn't end up having any long-standing impact on the series, because of the fact that the main villain they bring back, what's the point of bringing him back, having him train, having him gain this new form, and then fight Goku and being stronger if they're literally just gonna kill him, right away? And then they never bring him back again. As far as we can tell, they're probably never going to, unless GT ends up being canon.
Hopefully not.
But the fact of the matter is, I always really didn't like that ending. It's not even that Goku beat him, it's not that Vegeta didn't get to beat him, it's that he died. I think it would have been much more compelling if Frieza, say, lived at the end of Resurrection F, and then maybe had to be one of the fighters for Universe 6, and maybe we got some character development for Frieza and got to see him develop as a character, and maybe, I don't know if I would say become a good guy, but be more of an anti-hero or a villain who teams up with the main characters when he has to, but then will fight them again afterwards. I thought that would have been so much more interesting and so much more potential going into that than what we end up seeing in the climax of the film.
Well, it's almost like a little throwback if people are really old-time subscribers of my channel, which probably almost no one here is. When I first met, Dino Rhymestyle, one of the first videos I remember we did early in our partnership/friendship, whatever you want to, classify us as, when Resurrection F was coming out, one of the interesting things, we did a video, and some of us theorized, if I'm remembering correctly, that based on what the trailers were kind of leading us on to think, we thought maybe that Vegeta would actually have to be forced to work with Frieza again, which sounds silly on the surface, but there was a theory that maybe Frieza would threaten Trunks or something like that. I don't remember where the weight was, but if something like that kind of worked out where Vegeta they had to go with Frieza for some reason. That could have been interesting, but also kind of silly in some ways. But I mean, I thought it was fun to throw out here in this video because it was like one of those older theories that would have added more depth. And I even theorized terribly that Beerus would get killed by Frieza, which is an awful theory, especially now that we've seen the movie and the arc. But I think the bottom line is, though, is that he really should have lasted a little bit longer, whether that was a third movie before Super happened, which obviously due to when Super came out couldn't have happened, but there should have been more continuation in that story. But the bottom line is that I don't think Frieza was a bad choice to bring back at all. There just could have been more that was done afterwards, aside from him dying so quickly.
Yeah, I initially had thought that it would have been better to have someone like King Cold or Deborah come back because...
Well, they even teased that too, King Cold.
Definitely, so it would have been interesting if at least in the series version of Resurrection F, they brought back King Cold and maybe had him be the Tagoma role, you know, and maybe both of them trained together, and then he had to be the secondary villain that enemies ended up beating. I still just feel like the biggest issue is that Frieza ended up dying, and as a result, everything felt inconsequential because pretty much everything wrapped up the exact same way it started. I know a lot of the film with Frieza coming back was a little bit fan servicey, like let's show them these awesome new transformations,
right?
Let's have all these characters fight in these fight scenes that we never get to see. Let's have it be Frieza, one of the most popular villains in the history of the series. I understand that, but at the end of the day, I just feel like it just could have been handled a lot better, and I feel like Frieza really coming back and then training and being stronger only to be kind of wasted in the end is basically wasted potential.
Well, I mean, this is just my personal opinion on the whole film, and maybe not really the arc, because that arc was kind of lacking in Super. I don't think the arc's as bad as people say, but there are some missteps. The film itself is actually one of my favorite films, obviously not for a story perspective, because there isn't a whole lot of story to go off, but just the pure action that was in that movie was very good, and there was good tension between Goku and Frieza, because there was that history. I think Vegeta could have had more moments with Frieza. I feel like it was definitely done a little bit better in Super with Vegeta, but combining both Super and the movie, I don't think it was a complete waste to have them there. But like I've said multiple times, there just could have been more done, but what was there was still good, and I was satisfied with it.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I would have to say, though, before we go, is that the movie was kind of written backwards, too, because realistically, it should have been that Frieza forced Goku to transform, and then Frieza was even stronger, and Goku and Vegeta had to team up or something to beat him. The whole idea that he gets this new form and stronger than them, and then they're like, oh, we know your weakness, and then either of them could have individually beat him, also wasted the potential, I would feel, of him being a real tension-filled, dramatic threat, because, like, oh, he has a weakness. We already know it from the get-go,
right?
Or at least we know, like, very soon into the fight, and thus it dissolves all tension. So I feel like that was also wasted.
In all fairness, I mean, at least the weakness wasn't complete BS, in my opinion. It was still connected to Frieza's character. Even though he was training, he's not the smartest when it comes to honing his skills, but I mean, he's not a terrible fighter either, but I think it made sense in his character.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Frieza is like, oh, now I'm stronger, I'm gonna go fight them and kill them, and then he loses, but...
Yeah, it's very Frieza-like. Like, look at his 100% form. He doesn't learn those lessons.
I guess that is true. I mean, it is just him bulked up as a Super Saiyan 3 with no hair, I guess. I don't know. And he's also like 4 feet tall. But I guess essentially this has been our thoughts talking about whether or not we thought that he was wasted. And Josh, if you had to say wasted or not, what would you say?
I think if I had to take the good with the bad, I'd say overall no, but there could have been improvements. I just think for me personally, there's enough positives to outweigh the negatives, which the negatives mostly rely on the fact that he dies so abruptly and doesn't have any real lasting impact on the entire Dragon Ball universe. There's nothing he takes away. Everything's back to normal, so I think that's the biggest weakness. It was a good choice, and he's not really wasted overall.
So in the end, you've heard our thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. Do you think he was wasted? Do you think he wasn't? And what are some ways, I guess, that you'd want to improve upon that, assuming that you do think he was wasted? Or maybe, would you like Josh's idea of Cell coming back, or my idea of King Cold or Deborah coming back instead? Let us know those thoughts down below in the comments section. Don't forget to check out Josh's channel so you can give him a subscribe and check out those videos. I've done plenty with him on there, and he has done plenty with me on here. So check those videos out, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Don't forget to subscribe. subscribe.
Do it now. What do you wait?
Do it now, you puny man. Who cares about the universe 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Blah.
Not the universe of biceps. No.